check to make sure the streaming is working. It is. We are live. Okay. Give me a chance. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Koro More Toma Binake Dayalo Jap Samsare Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Koro More Toma Binake Dayalo Jap Samsare Patita Bhav Honor Hindu Just check something. Hold on a second. Osama Pita Prabhu Napai Patita Bhav Osama Patita Prabhu Napai Mahaprabhu Nityananda Premananda Suke Kripabala Kanako Anbarutu Mahaprabhu Nityananda Premananda Suke Kripabala Advaita Goswami Tavakrit Nepai Italian Time Dwaya Puro Sitapati Advaita Goswami Oh, goodbye, Chaitanya Nitai. Mahasvaru Saratana Ruparaguna Bhattaju Shri Vivala Rakulokana Santana Ruparadana Bhattaju Shri Vivaha Prabhu Lokana Ramachandra Sangamage Naritamukas Doida Koro Shiacharya Ramachandra Ramachandra Sangamage Naritamukas Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Naya Koromore Tumabinake Dayalo Jagat Samsare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jakol Adibol Haribo Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhacharya all said Brother Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Chanana Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasani Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Shai Makunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Mathuram Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Shrimati Glasi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Budle Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nivashesha Shunyabadi Paschatya Deshatarni Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, let me read the translation. My dear Lord, please be merciful to me, because who can be more merciful than your Lordship within these three worlds? Your incarnation is just to reclaim the conditioned fallen souls, but I assure you that you will not find a more fallen soul than me. Therefore, my claim is first. My dear Lord Nityananda, you're always joyful in spiritual bliss. Since you always appear very happy, I have come to you because I am most unhappy. If you kindly put your glance over me, I may also become happy. My dear Advaita Prabhu, husband of Sita, You were so kind, please be kind to me. If you are kind to me, naturally Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda will also be kind to me. I pray for the mercy of Swarup Damodar, the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Bhakta Raghunath Goswami, Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, and Lokanath Prabhu. I, Narottamadas, pray to the merciful Srinivasacharya, and I always desire the company of Ramchandra. Ramchandra is his friend, it's not referring to Lord Ramchandra. So, let us continue with our study of the Bhajan Rahasya by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This Bhajan Rahasya, again, a summary of what it is a study of the Shikshashtaka, the glorification of the holy name, and the correspondence of each verse in the Shikshashtaka with different stages in devotional service and different times of Lord Krishna's day, which is called the Ashtakaliya Leela. Right now we're still on the first verse of the Shikshashtaka and the general glorification of the Lord's holy names. So we've been reading many, many verses written or cited by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur that glorify the holy name. So let's continue. So Om Gadata Miranda Shah Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Unmeditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. And we will share the screen. And there is the sharing. Let's put the chat window to the side. Okay. So we ended up with the end of page 14. Incidentally, for those of you who don't know, this translation is done by my dear godbrother Bhanu Maharaj. And you can buy this book. It's available online, Amazon, and other places too, if you're interested in studying it. So, the final quote in this on this page is the famous quote, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Klivalam, Kala Nascheva, 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 Gatiranyata. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. That's from the Naradiya Purana. For those of you who don't know, the Vedic system is that if something is repeated 3 times, that means it's essential, it's the truth, you got to do it. So we got 2 things that are repeated 3 times in this verse. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Aiva Kevalam. So it's chant the holy name, chant the holy name, chant the holy name. One, or that's the only way. Kevalam, it's one, the only way. Kalo Nascheva, Nascheva, Nascheva. That means in Kali Yuga, there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no way, the way to achieve the supreme destination, Gatir Anyata, which is translated here as deliverance. Kali Yuga. So, that's a purported translation because quarrel and hypocrisy is definitely not mentioned in the verse. But Kali is the age of Kali, so that's implicit in Kalo, the age of Kali, that's the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So I guess that's sort of an indirect translation or a purported translation of the word Kali or Kali Yuga. Next verse. Naktram Livacha Gatapir Jita Nidruchak Eko Nirvana Ikshipato Mitabuk Prashanta Yada Chute Bhagavati Swamano Nasajen Sajen Namani Tadrati Karani Pated Vilaja. When one's mind is not attached to the Lord, Then without shame, without fear, day and night, conquering sleep in a solitary place, become detached, fixed on the goal, controlling, eating, and being peaceful, one should recite his names, which will produce attraction. In other words, if you're not attracted, you are in a diseased condition of life. Or as the Bhagavatam says, if one doesn't feel these symptoms of ecstasy upon chanting the Lord's holy names, his heart is certainly steel-framed, which means hard heart. So the question is to open your heart and consider it to be an emergency. That's what this verse says. That it's an emergency. You conquer sleep. Go somewhere. A solitary place. Fix your mind on the goal. Don't eat too much. Don't eat too little. Understand that everything else is less important than your attraction to the holy name. So, Aitamaneva lokesmen pumsam dharma parasmata bhakti yogo bhagavate tanama grahanadibe. Pure bhakti to the Supreme Lord, beginning with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, is the real dharma, the supreme object for the human being in this world. That's Bhagavatam 6:3-22. Savai pumsam paro dharma yato bhakti hoksajaya haitakiya pratyata yatma supersedati. That's pretty much the same thing, another verse in the Bhagavatam. Pure bhakti is described as a haitakiya pratyati, undeterred in all circumstances without any material cause. And it's Savai pumsam paro dharma, it's the topmost dharma, which is the same thing as here. Pumsam dharma, dharma pura, should be known as the supreme dharma. Yato bhakti hoksajaya haitaki prate yatma supersedati. That's the only thing that will satisfy the self. Meditating through kirtan on the pastimes at the end of night, when Radha and Krishna leave the bower, gradually the mind will relish rasa. Of course, as I mentioned before, each and every verse of the Shastaka refers to a different part or time in the Lord's day. And so this particular time, the first time that's mentioned, the first time that corresponds with the first verse of the Shastaka, is the end of night, when Radha and Krishna are woken up from their rest, their conjugal rest, in the bower in the forest, and they have to return home after that without being discovered by Yashoda Mai or any of the other, or Radharani's family either. Kirtida Sundari. Kirtida Sundari is the name of Radharani, so Kirtida is Radharani's mother's name. All right, so meditating through kirtan, the pastimes at the end, when Radha and Krishna leave the bower, gradually the mind will relish ras. And here's some information about this end of night. Ratyante thrasta vrinderita bahu viravar bodhita kirasari Padyar Ridyar Aridjarapi Sukha Shayanad Uttitau Tau Shaktivi Dristau Richtau Tadavito Votita Rati Lalitau Kakatigi Shankau Radhakrishna sa Trinavapi Nija Nija Dam Yapta Talpo Smarami. At the end of night, awakened by the pleasing and unpleasing words of parrots and shoddy birds making a clamor on the orders of frightened Vrinda, Radha and Krishna raised from blissful sleep gazed upon and made joyful by the Sakis, fearing the chatter of the monkey Kokati, charmed with the love which arose at that time, returned to their beds and their houses with thirst for each other. I remember Radha and Krishna at this time. So, of course, this is the time when Radha and Krishna leave the bower and they go back to their homes. Oh, where's the rest of this? Okay. So, there's just a very brief description of the Ashtakaliya Leela here. Don't worry, it's not getting into really detailed intimacy between Radha and Krishna, which is there in the Govinda Lilamrita and other literatures, which one should wait until one is qualified before one reads those literatures. But now we're primarily talking about the destruction of anarthas, or the advancement in devotional service, and destruction of anarthas is the next stage that's mentioned in the second part of the Bhajan Rahasya. The first part, of course, dealing with the first verses, sadhu, before sadhu sangha, adho shraddha, a little faith, and then we get to sadhu sangha anartha nivritti, which is the second verse in the Shikshashtaka. So, this is called Dvitiya Yama Sadhana. The instructions, or the instructions on what one should do with one sadhana, and the second stage, which is called bhajan in the morning, which is also entangled sadhu sangha, association with sadhus, anartha nivritti, getting rid of unwanted things, and also translated as destruction of anarthas by association with devotees. So here's the second verse of the Shikshashtaka. Nam nam akari bahuda nija sarva shaktish tatrapita nimata smaranayin kala etadrashi tabakripa bhagavan mamapi duradaiva midrasham iha janninanuraga. You've expanded your names into so many forms, and in them you've invested all your personal potencies. No rules have been made about when one can remember them. Such, O Lord, is the greatness of your mercy, and yet my misfortune is such that I have developed no attraction for them. Little bit different translation than we're accustomed to, but it's pretty much the same thing. In other words, let's go over the verse again. That all your potency, you've invested all your, I'm just going to go through the Sanskrit a little bit, not word by word, but phrase by phrase probably, and explain it in further depth. That you've invested all your potency. In other words, everything is there in your holy names. You are 100% there. All your energies are there. Nija Sarva Shaktis, that means energies, are there in your name. And as we sometimes tell the story from the pastimes of Lord Ram, that the name Lord Ram gave Hanuman the benediction, that his name is more powerful than he is, and so Hanuman, in chanting the name, was able to defeat Ram. Okay. And then Tatrapata Nimata Smarane Nakala means that there's no hard and fast rules for chanting the names or remembering the names. Nakala, that means there's time. Nakala. There's no nimata, there's no special rules nor times, nakala, for remembering or chanting the holy names. So what does that mean? There's no rules. That means, excuse me, Does that mean you could just forget about the 4 regulative principles? You can forget about chanting 16 rounds. You can forget about everything else you've learned since you joined the Hare Krishna movement? No. There's none of these ritualistic rules. In other words, the holy name can be chanted at any time. For example, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, as they say, born, it was during an eclipse. And it was during an eclipse. Generally, people don't do things like worship the deities during an eclipse. They don't eat during an eclipse. Not supposed to sleep during an eclipse. But what were they doing? They were chanting. They were immersed in the Ganges, or half immersed, not completely, in the Ganges, and chanting the holy name when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. So even though it's prohibited from doing other spiritual activities, not that really it's prohibited, but these are like ordinary Vedic injunctions. For devotees, you can do other spiritual activities. You can worship the deities and everything like that. However, if you're in a situation where people will criticize, then follow the particular culture so you are not criticized. That's really important. So in other words, there's none of these ordinary Vedic ritualistic rules in chanting. But there are certain injunctions, like you should follow 4 regulative principles, Hare Krishna, and you could avoid the 10 offenses while chanting. You should study the right mood that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us in the Shikshashnika. Yes, you should do those things. But there's no Vedic rules. Like if someone in your family has passed away, you could still chant. That's right. Sometimes some of my disciples, their family tells you should chant for about 2 weeks because so-and-so, has passed away. But there's no hard and fast rules. And it is by your mercy, the greatness of your mercy, Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi. But it is very unfortunate, Duradaivam, I don't have any nanuraga, I don't have any taste or attraction for chanting these names. Even though you're so merciful, there's no hard and fast rules, everything's there in your holy name, and I'm still not attracted. So I am very unfortunate. By your mercy, you have manifested your name in many forms, since people have many desires. One can chant while eating or sleeping. Generally, you don't take your bead bag in when you're sleeping, and also you don't take your bead bag into the toilet room, and you don't hold your bead bag while you're eating, but you can chant with your mouth. Everywhere, even in the toilet room, even between bites of food, you can chant. There's no rule for time or place of chanting. Other things, there's a time and place restriction. For example, in the Gayatri mantras, you have a time and place restrictions in chanting Gayatri, but not chanting the holy name. And one can gain perfection. You have placed all your powers in your name. Unfortunately, I have no attraction for them. Agadamana Yashodanandana Nanda Suno Kamala Nayana Gopi Chandra Vrindavanendra Pranatakarana Krishna Vityineka Swarupe Twai Mamarati Ruchair Vardatam Name Deya. O killer of the Aga, demon Aga, O son of Yashoda, O son of Nanda, O lotus-eyed one, O moon of the gopis, O Lord of Vrindavan, O merciful to the submissive, O Krishna, O name, you have mercifully manifested in various forms. May my attachment for you be greatly increased. In other words, not only do we chant the holy name, which is a prayer to Krishna, we can pray to the holy name. My dear holy name. It's like we pray to the deities. We go before the deities, and we don't just fold our hands and act like we're pious, but we go before the deities and we say, my dear Krishna, My heart is so filthy. I have no attraction for you. I'm suffering the pangs of material existence. Please take me, give me shelter. Let me be your eternal servant. So in the same way we can pray to Krishna's name, my dear name of Krishna. Just like I was just thinking of the Ramayana, which I think of quite a bit, how the monkeys, they were able to write the name of Ram, not just speaking or chanting the name of Ram, but they were able to write the name of Ram on all these stones. And because they wrote the name of Ram on all these stones, the stones floated and that stayed together and made the bridge to Lanka. Krishna has given all powers in his name. Dhanavrata tapastirtha yatra dinam jayastata shaktiyo deva mahatam sarvapapaharar shiva rajasu yashvavedanam jnana syadhyatma vastuna akrishya hrida sarva stapita sveshu namashu. Whatever power the Lord and great souls, for destroying all sins and creating auspiciousness are established in charity, vows, austerity, and visiting tirthas, in Rajasuya, Ashvamedha, sacrifice, and pursuit of Atma through Jnana, they have been established by the Lord in his names. Whatever power, listen to the English here. Yeah, I guess it's correct English, just a little unwieldy sentence. So in other words, in Krishna's names, whatever power was there in vows, austerities, going to all the holy places, and performing Rajasuya, Ashvamedha, and trying to understand jnana, the pursuit, understanding the soul through knowledge, everything is there in the holy names, and infinitely more. In fact, it's described that even if you compare one chanting of Hare Krishna to Rajasuya or Ashvamedha sacrifices, thousands of sacrifices, that's an atheistic comparison. There's no comparison because the name is directly Krishna. So that's why I did not feel an impetus to go to Kumbh Mela. Why didn't I feel an impetus to go to Kumbh Mela? Because I can chant Krishna's names. There's no need. There would be a need for preaching. That's why Prabhupada went to Kumbh Mela. Prabhupada didn't go to Kumbh Mela for purification. Prabhupada went for preaching Krishna consciousness, for establishing the Krishna consciousness movement. And that's why there's a large group of devotees there. There's no restriction of proper or improper time, purity or impurity. In other words, whether your body is dirty, whether your body is clean, whether you are in a dirty place, or whether you are in a clean place, or whether it is the middle of the night, or whether it is the witching hour, or whatever, as far as time, or, as we said before, an eclipse. There's no question, no restriction, no question. Nadesha kala niyamo. That means there's no restrictions. Now, shocha, ashocha, nirnaya. Neither is cleanliness, shuchi or shocha, ashochi, or ashocha, uncleanliness, have anything to do with it. Param sankirtanad. Sankirtan is supreme or the highest. Eva Rama Rameti Muchyate. So by chanting Rama, Rama is the highest thing. So there's no, let me give the translation. This is from the Vaishvanara Samhita. There's no restriction regarding time or place or time, nor is there consideration of purity or impurity. Simply by the performance of Sankirtan, chanting Rama, 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 Rameti. One can achieve the highest liberation. Rama, Rama. And so different parts of the verse of the Shikshastra are being elaborated on by the quotation of different verses from the Vedic literatures. So symptoms of misfortune, durdaiva in the verse, durdaiva. Daiva, of course, means, one's fortune, referring to like the different planets, different things happening in the planets, astrology. Symptoms of misfortune, durdaiva, in this verse are described in the Bhagavatam. Daivena te hatadiyo bhavata prasangat sarva shubho pashamanad vimukhendriyaye kurvanti kama sukalesha lavayadina loba vibhuta manaso kushalani shashvat. Those miserable persons who have lost their intelligence because of offenses to you, whose senses are turned away from things associated with you, which cause destruction of all inauspiciousness, and whose minds are controlled by greed for a particle of sensual happiness, continually commit sinful activities. Well, it sounds like Namam Duskrititi Mudha Prapajante Naranama Mayaya Pritagyana Masuram Bhava Mashrita. There's a verse from the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, 4 types of people do not approach me. The mudhas, it means they just want sensual happiness. Prajante Narama, lowest of mankind. Maya Pritagyana, whose intelligence has been stolen by illusion. And Asuram Bhavamashrita, those are asuras, demons. So, in other words, that's lost their intelligence because of offenses to you. So, these types of people, they will not be able to approach Krishna, and they commit sinful activities, and therefore they don't have a taste. By your association, all inauspicious actions are curtailed. By the influence of misfortune, my mind desires a particle of material happiness is controlled by greed. One should not endeavor for this. In other words, be a little introspective. Understand that your mind right now, for most of us, is influenced by greed, and which means material happiness. We want some material happiness, which is a hopeless endeavor, because as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, material happiness is simply the negation of pain, or the negation of some lack. For example, we enjoy eating because we're hungry. If we weren't hungry, there wouldn't be enjoyment of eating. So, next verse. Bhakti yogena manasya samyak prani te malay apashat purusham purnam mayam jatara pashrayam yayasa mohito jivat manam shri gunatmakam paropi manute nartam tatkritam jadi padyate anarto pashama zakshad bhakti yoga at hoksajay. In that mind, which was undisturbed because it was pure from the performance of bhakti, he saw Lord Krishna complete with all of his energies and spiritual expansions, and also saw Maya, who took shelter behind the Lord. Bewildered by that Maya, the jiva, though separate from the 3 gunas, considers himself made of the 3 gunas and takes on material existence created by the gunas. And Vyasa saw bhakti yoga to the Lord, which effectively destroys the jiva's samsara, anarthas. Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 7th chapter, texts 4-6. Wow. So in other words, when you when your mind is purified by the performance of bhakti, you will actually be able to see and understand Krishna's energies, which is the on the backside of the Lord. In other words, what does that mean? That means, metaphorically, Krishna is Surya Sama, Maya, Hoya, Andhakara. That Maya is darkness, or the absence of the sun. The sun in this particular case, metaphorical case, is Krishna. So the absence of Krishna is by definition Maya. And of course in the Chatur Shloki it says that too. Rate ratam na pratyeta chatmani tadvidyad atmano mayam yatabasha yatatamaha. If you see anything not connected to me, Krishna says, I know that to be my illusory energy, which is like a reflection that appears in darkness. So that's what Maya is. It's the forgetfulness of Krishna, the disconnection from Krishna, the backside of Krishna. So, and the second part of this, bewildered by Maya, the jiva, those separate. So because we're in darkness, we think ourselves to be, or very much influenced, and we are completely influenced by goodness, passion, and ignorance. And so our life is controlled by the goodness, passion, and ignorance. The gunas. Guna also means rope. Modes of nature, ropes. And so Vyas, when he was seeing these things, he also saw the process of linking with the Lord, which destroys our anarthas. The Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga consists of the 9 processes, beginning with hearing and chanting, sound vibration. 4 types of anarthas by misfortune or accident are described in Amnayas. So, Maya mugdasya jivasya gyayonarthas chaturvidha Riddor balyam japarado satrishna tattva vibrama. For the jiva overwhelmed by Maya, there are 4 types of anarthas. Listen to this. Weakness of heart, 1. Offenses, and there are different types of offenses. Offenses against the holy names, offenses against the holy Nama, offenses against the Vaishnavas. Thirst for temporary things in this world, or temporary enjoyment, and misunderstandings concerning tattva. That means the nature of Krishna, the nature of the material world, the nature of the jiva soul. Those are the tattvas. The nature of the spiritual energy. For example, if we think that I am God, or ultimately Brahman is the highest, that is tattva vibrama. That means illusion, basically translates as illusion concerning the tattva, which is really important to understand. That's why you should know the tattvas. In other words, the Lord's nature, the soul's nature, the material nature, and the spiritual nature, at least those. If you want to add someone or something, Shiva Tattva, special category. But generally, we're talking about 3. The energy, the Lord, and the Jiva. And this is mentioned in the Vishnu Purana. Krishna Shakti Vinapara Prokta Shedrokya Kyatata Para Vidya Karma Sandra Yaya Tritir Shakti Ishate. There's the material energy, spiritual energy, and the jiva soul. And in other words, the spiritual energy expands as the material energy, just like Krishna expands as Lord Shiva, and the spiritual Shaktis expand ultimately as Durga in this world. So, 4 types of anartha. Weakness of heart. It means inability to be determined. And the other ones I think you understand right now. Especially these misconceptions concerning Tattva. Oh, this is actually what we just talked about. Okay. Now, the types of misconceptions concerning Tattva are described by this verse. So, Tattvai Paratattvai Satsadya Sadhana Tattvayo Virodi Vishaye Chaiva Tattva Brahmas Chaturvirat. And these are the four types of Tattva are as follows. There are four types of misconception of Tattva or Swarup for the bound Jiva. The misconceptions about the Jiva, misconceptions about the Lord, misconceptions about Saja and Sadhana. What does that mean? Saja means the goal. What is the goal? And Sadhana means the process of achieving the goal. And then the fourth one is misconceptions about contrary philosophies. That would be Mayavad philosophy or something like that. But that would also include some of the other conceptions or misconceptions. For example, if you have a philosophy in which you believe that everybody's God, that would also be a misconception about the Jiva, a misconception of the Lord, a misconception about Saja and Sadhana too. So these four categories are not mutually exclusive when you're subject to one of them. So that's interesting. And so next we get to the thirst for the temporary. Ahikesh Vaishvashana Haratri Keshu Chaishana Subha Muti Vancha Mamukshacha Yasat Trishnas Chatur Vidha. There are four types of thirst for the temporary. 1, desire for happiness in this life. 2, desire for happiness in the next life, of Swarga. In other words, it's just centered on your happiness, whether it's spiritual happiness or material happiness or gross happiness or something that pleases you and has nothing to do with bhakti. Desire for happiness in this life, desire for happiness in the next life, Swarga. Swarga means heaven. Desire for yogic powers, and desire, impersonal liberation. And this is sort of described by Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kam Sakalaya Shanta by Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami. It's a famous verse that if one wants Bhukti, material happiness, which includes heavenly happiness in the future, Mukti, liberation, or Siddhi, which is yogic powers, Sakalaya Shanta, one's mind will be not peaceful. All right, let's just hear about the offenses, and then we can take questions. Krishna namasvarupeshu tadiya chit kaneshu cha yeya buddha ganarjam aparadas chaturvira. The intelligent understand that there are four types of offenses. There's offense to the name, the holy name, offenses to Krishna's Surupa form, like a deity worship or something like that, or you criticize Krishna's form as being, like Krishna says, Avajananti Mamura Manushem Tanamashrita Parambhava Janato Amabhuta Maheshram. One who thinks that I've assumed this form and personality, Avajananti Mamura, that's Bhagavad Gita, of course, is a muda, is an ass. They don't know my higher nature. Parambhava Ajanato. They don't know my higher nature. Mama Bhuta Maheshwara. They don't know that I'm the controller of everything. Offenses to the devotees. Very important, Vaishnava Purada. Or offenses to any jiva. So we should respect all jivas as part and parcel of Krishna. Okay. So in other words, that's the reason we don't have a taste. These are the different reasons. Because we have these anarthas, which are misconceptions about contrary philosophies, offenses, misconception about tattva, swarupa, weakness of heart, like this. which is weakness of heart, is going to be described tomorrow. Okay, we'll wait until we get to that. Okay, that'll be that verse there, verse number 11. Okay, so now we will take some questions. We only have 8 more minutes left to class. And so we will allow some of you great devotees, I have to be careful about committing offenses against any of you, so that I have a taste for the holy name. So you can ask your question by typing in the chat window. Oh, there was already one. How can we better work in becoming Gouda Kesh, especially when getting older? For those of you who don't know what Gouda Kesh means, it means conquering sleep. I wouldn't worry too much about it if you're very old, because the body. Don't push the body too much when you get old. When you get old, you rest what you need. Don't push yourself too much, or else you will not get old. What do I mean by not getting old? That means you'll die. There's 2 ways of not getting old. One is you go back to God, and another one is dying. Anyway, so don't worry about it. Okay, Nanda Gopal, you have a question. You can unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my obeisances. All glories to you and Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhupada. So,
Maharaj, during the class, you gave an example that as a devotee, when we go in front of Krishna, and I'm just trying to paraphrase the words, basically you said, please bless me, Krishna, because my heart is filthy, or something like on that order.
I'm not telling you what to pray. I'm just saying certain things devotees may say when they're before Krishna.
Yes, but my question is that I find it paradoxical, and that's where I need help, because pure devotees like you and other Vaishnava acharyas, they practice and their action is completely surrendered to Krishna. But when they write bhajans or pray, why do they say that, no, my heart is dirty or filthy? Like, I don't understand. Their actions are pure, but their
Because
words...
they feel like that. This is part of the mood of worshiping Krishna in separation. That one feels, why am I not seeing Krishna? My heart is dirty. It's not that they're actually thinking of dirty things. Obviously, they're not thinking of, dirty things like illicit sex or intoxication or eating meat or anything like that. But or politics. It's a joke. So, but they're feeling so much separation from Krishna, longing, intense hankering, and thinking that my dirty heart is keeping me from. This is their vast humility. This is the great humility that devotee experiences. They're actually thinking like that. They're feeling that their heart is dirty, although they're not experiencing dirty things. And I'm not talking about myself. I'm just a rascal. So I'm talking about real devotees. But you asked about real devotees. So yeah, they're actually feeling like that. And they're also writing that down so that they set an example for us. But it's not just an act, a play act. Like some of us, we put on play acts. Oh, I'm so humble. Oh, I am humbler than a blade of grass. I'm offering all respects to others. I'm so proud that I'm humble. So anyway, so yeah, they're feeling like that. It's an honest statement. A pure devotee does not do any or express any sort of dishonesty. Okay?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay, who else has a question? Raise your hand or type in the chat window. Anybody have any questions? This is a really wonderful book by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and really helps us come to a higher stage of chanting. If we understand those impediments, sorry, that's the word I was looking for. If we understand the impediments to achieving attraction to Krishna's name. Hrishikesh, you have a question?
Yes, Gurudeva. Gurudeva, what is this weakness of heart? What does that mean?
That's going to be described tomorrow.
Oh, okay,
Uh,
okay, okay, okay.
Tune in tomorrow. That's
Uh,
that's that's act that's act. It's a good question. I mean, it's a good question. I'm not denying that's a good question because that's really what we're going to be discussing tomorrow. Like, what is the weakness of heart? And
okay,
these are things like being, I guess, duplicitous, which means dishonest in general. And desiring things in this world. Like I said, all these different impediments are not mutually exclusive from each other. You can be envious, which is part of a weakness of heart, and at the same time be committing offenses to devotees because you're envious. So we'll go over that tomorrow. That's the four, just like we heard, four qualities of improper understanding, Tatva Brahma, and then we're going to hear about the four types of weakness of heart. And that's
okay,
going to be, weakness of heart is something that affects all of us. I mean, I think more than Tatva Brahma, the misunderstanding of the Tattvas, the Jiva soul and the Vishnu Tattva and Shakti Tattva. Most of us in the Krishna conscious movement, pretty much from the time you join the movement, after you've been in the movement about a year, you should understand the Tattvas. I mean, if you still think the soul is not eternal after 1 year in the Hare Krishna movement, then really, I think you need to look for another movement to join. If you still haven't understood that Krishna's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all the other forms of the Lord are his expansions or portions or plenary portions, yeah, you need to join the Peace Corps. Anyway, on that happy note, thank you all for joining us. There's no time, Sumuk. We have to end now. Thank you all for joining us, and we will hopefully see you tomorrow by Lord Krishna's blessings. All glories to His divine grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur for giving us this wonderful